All right, well, good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. I'm going to have a small devotional to read and some scriptures to go with that, and then I'm going to read a little story or whatever it is, and then share some of my own thoughts. Some scriptures that go with the devotional are in Matthew 25, verse 31 to 46. So I'm going to read that. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. Before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto the one of the least of these, my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, unto everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in. Naked, and ye clothed me not. Sick and in prison, and ye visited me not. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. And there's a devotional here that kind of goes with that. It's called No Time for God. The news was broadcast throughout the congregation that travelers were expected. Homes and hearts were opened to warmly welcome the guest. Included among the visiting brethren was a preacher, and so a special midweek church service was planned. Surely this would be a precious opportunity for like-minded strangers and pilgrims to worship together and encourage each other. And indeed, the visiting minister preached a fervent and inspiring message, and souls were rekindled with a renewed zeal to follow Christ wholeheartedly. Yet among the worshipers was a concern and sadness. For some reason, many of the younger generation failed to show up at this midweek feast of the soul. Was it really because of binding obligations elsewhere, or was it due to a general lack of interest? Have we no time for God? Every individual must carefully examine himself and answer this question honestly. God has various ways of testing our mettle to reveal whether He is indeed number one in all areas of our life every day. Can we rightly say that we have time for God when we have no time to visit the sick or write letters to them? Do we not have our priorities reversed when we pursue our own interests first rather than serving God by serving our fellow men? James 1:27 says that a part of pure religion is to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction. Truly, when we have time for God, we will make time for things like looking after widows and orphans, attending church functions, and providing food and raiment for the needy. If we do not have time for the things of God today, He will not have time for us on that last notable day. The time we're spending isn't our time, it's God's time. I had some thoughts. Seems like another way that we can spend time with God is by reading His Word. And it seems like there's times in my own life when I have an opportunity just to sit down and read the Bible, but I'd rather do other things, or I might say I don't have time. We should never be like that because God always has time for us. And And when we have a need, we can call upon him. He's always there for us. It's never a time when he's not there. So I have this other little story I'm going to read. There's some verses in Ephesians 5, verses 15 and 16. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. And I have this little story. Time is a priceless gift from God. How we should guard it with care and use it to the fullest. David Brainerd, faithful missionary to the American Indians, said, "Oh, how precious is time, and how guilty it makes me feel when I think I have trifled away and misimproved it, or neglected to fill each part of it with duty to the utmost of my ability and capacity." In his book, Lest Ye Faint, Franklin Logsdon tells of the president of a Christian college who entered the chapel service one morning with a solemn expression on his face. Following the hymn, he stood up to speak to the student body. He said, "I have just received a telephone message bearing the sad news. A fine young man who graduated from the school 3 years ago has died suddenly." A hush fell over the audience. Scanning slowly the students, the president asked, "If all you desire to do, if all you hope to do, had to be crowded into 3 short years, what would you do differently?" Someone has said, "Time is the dressing room for eternity." How are we using it? What opportunities do we have today? May we follow the faithful example of our Lord Jesus, who said, "I must work the works of him who sent me while it is today." The night is coming when no one can work. And that was John 9:4. Work when the day grows brighter, work in the glowing sun. Work, for the night is coming when man's work is done. He who has no vision of eternity doesn't know the value of time. So that's about all I have. So let's always be mindful of how we spend our time, because life is short. And so, yeah, that's all I had. God bless you.